Hey, good morning everybody. Ed Froelich with the First Time Gardener back at you. We are going to reveal our experiment today, which we had with the sweet potatoes. So as I told you in a previous video, I did a test on sweet potatoes. Typically, when people plant sweet potatoes, they grow their sweet potatoes in a jar. They put the toothpicks in them, and it sits halfway in and halfway out of a jar, and the roots start growing into the water and create slips on the sweet potato. And then supposedly you take those slips off with the roots and you plant those individually. I experimented with 2 sweet potatoes. I had them on the counter. They're from the store-bought sweet potatoes. They're not bought from a farm and seed place. They were bought from the store, and they were on my countertop, and they grew a couple ears on each of the sweet potatoes. So I took both of those sweet potatoes and planted them here in the garden that's behind me. There's only 2 sweet potatoes, and it made all these vines that I'm going to show you. Well, today, I don't know the exact number of days. I know it's been over 120 days from the first day that I planted those sweet potatoes. They say 90 to 120 days is the amount of time you need for harvesting. So it's well over the 120 days. We're going to just see the experiment and see what happened. So if this works out good, I'm going to just plant the potatoes. I'm not going to worry about growing the slips and planting the slips. But if this kind of fails and we only get 1 or 2 sweet potatoes from each of the sweet potatoes I planted, then we're probably going to have to go ahead and do the slip part and replant with slips instead of just the whole potatoes. Let me bring you down here. We're going to show you what I have going on, and then we're going to start harvesting them out of the ground and bring it to you right here on the First Time Gardener. Stick around. Okay guys, here is our sweet potato plot, and I've planted, like I told you in the last one, I planted 2 potatoes. They're one here and one over there, and all these other vines you see have been grown from those sweet potatoes. Now if you come back in here on the vines, you'll see they have rooted into the ground. Now this one here, as you can see, let me pull some of these away here. So you can see this comes up under the ground, and then so I piled this dirt onto this vine so it would grow some roots, and you can see the roots have grown. We're going to pull it up and just see. That's the roots. I don't see any potatoes there yet, but it doesn't mean they haven't started somewhere else there. So yeah, there's actually a heavier root there. So anyway, we're going to use my little tool here that I have. It's a little fork rake. I'm going to take some hand trimmers and I'm going to cut these vines and get the vines out of the way, and then we're going to dig the ground up and see what kind of potatoes we got. So follow me along with my experiment. Let's see how we do. Let's see if we got any potatoes. Maybe we have no potatoes. I don't know. Like I said, this is an experiment. So let's get to it and see what turns out. This is what I'm using just to cut the vines up. So here you can see these are little tubulars that started to grow from where the vine that was crawling on the ground rooted, and we have one little sweet potato that's not from the plant. I mean the potato I planted, but that's from the vines that are growing. First little one. Another sweet potato. There you go. There's another one. They're little, but they'd be good for like with a roast or something. Two more little ones. Okay guys, so I just wanted to show you before we dig up. So this right here is my main potato that I grew, planted, and this is the other one. So there's one here and one there, and we're going to dig that up and see where we are with those. And the rest of it is we're going to turn all of it over, but we'll probably just get little ones. Like here's a little tuber. Here's a little tuber. That was a root from one of the vines, and you can see it started to grow a potato. So anyway, let's get our fork tool and let's start pulling these up so you can see what we got. Okay guys, here we go. Let's see what we got. Well, we got 3 potatoes there. Oh yeah, here's another one. There's another nice one. Oh yeah, look at those. Look at that. We got a potato, sweet potatoes. That's another nice one. That's all from the potato I planted. Got some little ones. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah. Here's another one. Okay, this is getting into the second potato that I planted. Now here's the remnants. That's the potato I planted. That was from the garden. I mean, from the store. Another one. There's another one. There's another one. Well, there's a big one. There's another nice one. Okay guys, I would say so far my experiment is successful. So we don't have to grow slips, I just got to plant potatoes. It looks like we're getting a good yield. And I'm not done yet. Wow, look at that sucker. Here's another one. Hey buddy, what you doing? Look at all the potatoes Papa's doing. Hey, look at that, another potato. Look. All right, be right there. Okay, let's see. Looky, Hank. Look at the potatoes Papa's growing. Sweet potatoes. Lots of them. Okay guys, well, I'm done digging my sweet potatoes up. I've gone through them all, and so was my experiment successful? Well, let me have you be the judge of that. Now, I gave my daughter 3 big sweet potatoes, but this is what we have out of the garden, and we only planted 2 potatoes. So I would say very much so that I have been successful in my experiment. There's a lot of little ones because they were formed on the tubers. I probably have 1.5 dozen of large potatoes. The rest are going to be like tubulars. See, I've got like from this size, I've got 1.5 dozen probably. So got probably 1 dozen of that size, and then I got a bunch of these, which we'll clean these up and we'll slice them in half with a little bit of salt and pepper and some honey, bake them in the oven, and they'll be great. I hope you like this video. If this encourages you to grow some sweet potatoes, you can also grow these in a 5-gallon bucket. If you don't have a lot of room for a garden like I have, you can put a couple 5-gallon buckets, put 1 or 2 potatoes in each bucket, and let it grow 90 to 120 days, and you will have some potatoes. And in the buckets, you know, they do get viney, and the vines grow all over the place, so you know, you'll have to keep them trimmed up, but you definitely can have some sweet potatoes. Okay guys, one more thing I wanted to go over with you before we end this video is how to cure your sweet potatoes. I'm going to show you how I'm doing mine. Now, you can eat them right out of the ground. The problem is they're not going to taste very good. They're going to be starchy. Now, if you want those potatoes to be nice and sweet when you cook them, this is what you got to do to cure them. If you want a temperature 85 to 90 degrees, and you want somewhere between 80 and 90% humidity. Now, I live in Florida, northwest central region of Florida, so we do right now have a lot of humidity in the air. I don't know that it's 90%, but it is hot in the 80s every day, and your potatoes have to cure for 2 weeks, and then you can store them. Now, when you dig them out of the garden or out of your bucket, whichever you're growing them in, don't take and wash them. You want to keep the dirt on them. You might want to you can brush them off, the dirt, some of the dirt, so they're not so filthy, but do not put water on them. And I'm going to show you how I have mine. So right now I've just spread them out. I've taken, and you can still see there's dirt on them, but I've taken and spread them out so they get air circulation on here, so they're not balled up. You kind of move them out. All right, and we're going to let them sit outside on my back porch here, and we want to cover them up with a blanket or a towel, which I'm going to show you. I have a towel here. We're going to cover them up, and we're going to leave them just like this for 2 weeks, and then we can store them, and we're still going to store them with the dirt on. Now, I have a couple potatoes that I poked with and opened the skin up when I was digging them up. That's perfectly fine. Or if one snaps in half, that's perfectly fine. They will heal themselves up during the curing process, so you don't have to worry about they're going to be rotting and you're going to have to throw them away. Do not throw them away. They'll still be good potatoes. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white towel right here, and I'm just going to cover them just like this. That towel does two purposes. One, it keeps the direct sunlight from going on the potatoes because you don't want direct sunlight. And two, it will hold the moisture in, so if the towel gets humid and damp, it will hold that humidity, and when the sun comes up, it will hold that heat underneath that a little bit better, and it'll cure your potatoes. Now, 2 weeks is the average. These are small potatoes, so I'm going to check them in 7 to 10 days, and they might be fine after 10 days. But if you have the larger potatoes, definitely you want to try to go to your 2-week process. And then you just store them like a regular potato in a cool, dark place where the sunlight doesn't come, and they should last you for 3 or 4 months. We don't eat a lot of sweet potatoes here, but since we do have them now, we don't have to buy them from the store, and we have them available, we'll probably eat more than we normally do. And the smaller ones I'm going to use for like roasting in the oven as a side dish or for dinner. But anyway, that's it on the curing process of how I cure the potatoes. And if you have any questions about this, just leave them in the comments and I'll surely answer you the best I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'll get it for you. All right, guys, that's it on the curing. Subscribe to my channel. This is a brand new channel. We're trying to grow it, so I'm most appreciative if you subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Until we see you next time, be safe. God bless.